Hi you guys, my name is Cyan and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Recently, I have been in the mood to be reading romances, and I'm going to try and do different types of romances. The first book we're starting with is How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates. This one is like a horror romance comedy type, I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's just what it seems like it would be. I could be completely wrong, but I've never read anything like this. I do, however, love these types of movies. They're like my guilty pleasure, a horror that's funny. I don't know if the romance aspect has ever been in them, but I guess like the movie Heart Eyes. That one was a good one. I'm trying to think of another horror comedy. Oh, Ready or Not. I would consider that a horror comedy. There are some other ones, but I just can't think of them right now. Anyways, it's one of my favorite genres, and I've yet to read a book that's like that. I don't even know if that's really what this is because I know nothing about it. I go into all my books blind, but I'm just making the assumption. So hopefully that is kind of what this is like. Anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Let's hop into it. I've officially made it to page 176 in How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates. It's not what I thought. For some reason in my mind, I thought that it was gonna be like a girl that maybe she was a serial killer and she was killing 10 guys, but that's not how this happens at all. So in this book, we are following Jamie. Jamie is working on her, I think, PhD. That's when you're writing a dissertation, right? Doctorate, one of those. Anyways, she's working on that, and she is an enthusiast of romances and the horror genre. She has a best friend named Lori. Lori is very much into like documentaries and stuff, and every once in a while, since they're roommates and best friends, they do go out together. On this particular night, they decide to go to a speed dating event. So they're supposed to go date 10 other guys in speed dating, and well, yeah, I feel like everyone knows how speed dating goes. And at the speed dating event, it goes very sideways because the lights flicker, and when they turn back on, the guy across from Jamie has his throat slit. So obviously not a good time, and there is a serial killer now loose in this club that they're at. They are all locked in together and they're separated. They're going into groups. They're trying to survive, and it feels like Jamie pretty much knows how to survive this because of her love for horror films. You know, I wouldn't say that this is really funny so far. Maybe it's just not my type of humor. We're over halfway through, and I feel like most of this story involves them trying to outsmart the serial killer or I guess spree killer. No, serial killer. But anyways, they're trying to outsmart the serial killer. And so we're kind of seeing them scheming, working together in groups. Some of the people seem suspicious. There's also kind of like a love triangle thing going on. I don't mind it, but I think I would have preferred if there was a lot more action between her and the killer. Like, she's actually had very minimal sightings of the killer. She just happens to see like the bodies he's leaving in his wake, and I would prefer something that was more one-on-one between the two, but it's not bad. It's just not what I thought it was. I feel like it could be better. There's also a lot of little, what do you call them? References. It's little references to other horror movies as well as romances. So I feel like if you haven't seen any of those types of movies, that could just be a little bit annoying, or you might not really get the reference. And that's happened for some of them, but most of these are movies that I've seen before. But yeah, I don't know. It's not what I was expecting, but still, I'm gonna finish it up and we'll see how the rest of it goes. I did finish up How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates, and my thoughts on this one are that it was okay. It definitely wasn't my favorite book. I think it's because I went into it expecting something completely different, and like I mentioned before, it just wasn't that great because of the fact that it was behind the scenes of these people running, hiding, kind of scheming with one another. And I would have much rather preferred to see a lot more one-on-one action between our main character and the actual serial killer. There were a couple of scenes that we got of that, but I feel like for the most part, like I've already said a million times, they were just hiding and plotting and scheming. And there was also, of course, a smut scene in here, which it kind of felt like the wrong place, wrong time. The love triangle, which I said love triangle because once I got into it, I did read the back where it says that there's a love triangle, but it's very much so just one-sided, I feel like. I didn't think it was a very well fleshed out love triangle, but I do like the relationship between our main character and her best friend, Lori and Jamie. Their friendship is pretty ride or die, especially considering that they could have died in this book.
Explosion.
But yeah, it was just a 3 for me. I think I already said that. It wasn't that amazing, but it wasn't terrible. So that's this one. I also do think that the premise, I for some reason thought it was going to be, might be a little bit more interesting, where like she's a serial killer and she kills 10 different guys, but that wouldn't necessarily make it a horror. And that's what this is supposed to be. So yeah. That's this one. But I do have our next romance picked out, and we're going to do a complete switch and go the opposite route from that one. We're going to do a very sad book. So I'm going to read If You Had Been With Me. This was very popular in the beginning of BookTok and during COVID and everything. I've never read it, but I've heard that it's very, very sad. I also heard that like you know what's going to happen at the end, but still all of the in-between makes the end sad. So I'm assuming someone dies. I'm assuming it's not a happy ending. We will see. I do believe it's YA though, so don't know what all can be going on in here, but we're about to figure it out. Okay, so I have made it about 50% of the way through this book. I'm on page 188, and here we are following Autumn's point of view. Autumn, her and her mom are neighbors with her mom's best friend, who she calls her aunt. I don't know if everyone has a family member like that, but like I have an uncle who's not really my uncle. But anyways, so that's the situation. Autumn's mom's best friend, they live next door to each other, and Autumn's mom's best friend also had a son named Phineas. Well, I was about to get it mixed up. His name is Phineas, but they call him Finny in here. So anyways, they grew up together. They're kind of like BFFs in the beginning, and then as time goes on, they just go their separate ways. Autumn develops a new friend group. Her personality isn't so much the same as Finny's. She's kind of hanging out with the outcast. He's like the popular guy that everyone in school wants to be with and be around. And so that's what the situation is, right? Every single time they cross paths, they kind of have like an unspoken connection. You can tell that there's definitely some kind of feelings there, especially now that they're getting older. And the real kicker is that each of them have a significant other. So Finny has a girlfriend, she has a boyfriend, and that's like kind of all there is to it, right? So we're seeing them develop as teenagers. We're seeing their friend groups, the different relationships they have. We're also seeing their relationships with each of their own mothers and everything like that. Her parents are kind of going through it. He doesn't really know his dad, so you've got those dynamics going on as well. I like it. It's definitely a slower paced book. It's definitely people driven. There's not much going on. There's some real depth to these characters. I also think the way this is written, since we are in Autumn's point of view, you can tell that she's younger, but it doesn't feel too juvenile. And I don't know how an author does this where the writing genuinely feels like it's the characters writing to us. And I really enjoy that part of it. Like, I don't know what it feels like. It doesn't feel too mature or anything either. It just feels pretty dang perfect. So that's my thoughts on this one so far. I do remember a long time ago seeing someone on BookTok talking about the fact that this character wears a tiara. And I get it, okay? It's like in that Allie Hazelwood book where she's wearing the galaxy leggings. It's just small things that people will pick up on. And our character in here, she's constantly wearing a tiara, which I think is a little bit odd. And yeah, it's not my favorite thing. I also kind of understand it, but also don't understand why that part has to be mentioned so much. But yeah, that's where we're at. Also, because they do have significant others, I'm a little bit worried that there's going to be a cheating trope in here because I absolutely hate that to my core. I don't think it's ever been done to a point where I enjoy it. Unless like their boyfriend's a piece of shit or abusive or something. But I don't really like Autumn's boyfriend, and I also don't really like Phineas's girlfriend. So if there is a cheating trope in here, I'm not gonna say if there is or not, but I am wondering how I'm gonna feel about that. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna continue reading now. Yesterday, I did finish up If He Had Been With Me, and I think I'm gonna give this one a 4-star. It definitely didn't have a happy ending. I think it was actually pretty dang sad the way that this ended. I did see part of it coming from literally the very beginning, and honestly just the title of the book, like the very end. I was like, well damn, that's just depressing. But I really did feel for our characters, Autumn and Finn. There is something in here that I didn't really like that happened between our two characters, but it's fine because of the fact that they had such a tragic ending. I did really enjoy our characters though, the life that they were living. It's very, very people driven, but it feels very reminiscent of real teenage problems that happen. And I just feel like it was so deep and emotional. And it's a book that I'm definitely going to remember forever because I don't think I've quite read anything like it. And I enjoyed it. So yeah, I definitely don't know if I would actually consider it a romance though, but I guess it is for most of it. There is a second one to this, I think, but I think it's the exact same story. It's just from Finn's point of view because this whole entire book is told pretty much in Autumn's point of view. Well, not pretty much, it is. So I don't know if I will end up reading that one, but who knows, maybe it is different. Let me know if you've read it and if you think it's necessary to read it. But that is this one. Next, though, I am going to start our next romance of the video, and I'm going to be doing a... What is the word? No, not sci-fi. Like the Hunger Games and the Shatter Me series. Dystopian. It's a dystopian. It's actually a Kindle read, and it is going to be Daggermouth by H.M. Wolf. I've heard a lot about this. I think it's an enemies to lover, and that's pretty much all I got. I don't know anything else, so let's just get into it and see what it's all about. Okay, I'm on my lunch break, so I thought I would just quickly update you guys on Daggermouth. So, in this book, we are following, I don't know how to say it, Sadra. I feel like there's an extra letter in there that I'm missing, but we'll just call her Shade. So, we're following her. In this world, they have different class systems, so she is in the lower class. The upper class, they are located in the heart. And basically, they're just ruled by one man who's a piece of shit. He has a son who is the executioner. They execute people for pretty much nothing, and they're very, like, think capital of Hunger Games versus, like, the lower districts. And they also wear these masks, which is kind of throwing me off because every single time they're wearing it, I just kind of imagine, I'll have to put a picture of it, but, like, this kind of mask, which isn't very flattering. In my opinion, I think they kind of look ridiculous and a little bit cringy, but that's what I keep picturing every single time. Moving on, Shadra is a mercenary. She is tasked with assassinating the president's son, who is the executioner, whose name is Grayson, right? But during this assassination attempt, something happens. It goes wrong. Obviously, he's not dead, and she is now tasked with marrying him. Now, this is to make it seem like the rebels and the president and his people or whatnot kind of have a little bit of an alliance going on, and because Shade accidentally saw Grayson without his mask on, and normally you're supposed to be murdered if someone sees one of the elites without their mask on, and the fact that he took it off on purpose means that he, like, double down is supposed to be murdered.
Yeah, double homicide.
But the president doesn't want this, not because he loves his son, but just because of the uproar it would bring throughout their community. And so that's why he makes them marry one another. It's kind of like a loophole. Don't ask me how, but it is. That's what's going on in this book. It is truly an enemies to lovers because now they are living together. She's secretly plotting against him. There's a lot of different things going on, but at the same time, it's very slow moving because it's not much happening. I feel like a lot of the scenes are getting a little bit drug out, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about our other two characters because there are multiple POVs. It's just most of the POVs are going to be from Shade and Grayson. So the other POVs that we have are Lyra, don't know how to say it, and Callum. So Callum is Grayson's best friend, and then Lyra, whatever, she is Grayson's sister, and she basically controls like the journalism of the Capitol. They only put out what they want the people to see. They're not actually putting out everything that's going on behind the scenes, but that's her job. Anyways, it's pretty apparent that these two also have a relationship in the past and that they still have very intense feelings for one another. So we are seeing their POV. We also learn that her father, again, the president, does not care about her either. Doesn't care about women, men, anyone. Literally anyone but himself. That's what's going on in this one. But like I said, it's moving a little slow in the sense that there's not much action going on in here. It seems like it's a lot of talking and inner monologue and scheming and everything that's going on. Oh, and then I just forgot another point of view that we have is Jameson. Jameson is actually Shade's love interest in the very beginning of the book. So before she got captured and everything, she was seeing this guy. They had feelings for one another, but it seems like he definitely had him stronger for her. And you're getting his point of view because he's trying to save her. I guess love triangle, arranged marriage, enemies to lovers. It's got a lot going on, right? But again, it's moving slow for me, in my opinion. I'm like 70% of the way through, and I feel like we've only had a couple of action scenes. I don't really know what the point of this story is, except for to get a lot of the background and the scheming and everything. And I'm just never someone who, in a book like this, cares that much for the scheming and plotting. Like, I want to actually see the action going down. At the end of one chapter, the author could literally say, oh, we have a plan. And then the next chapter should be them fully executing the plan with all the action. That's my preferred method, but it's not bad. I also do need to make a couple more complaints though, and I hate to do it, but my first complaint is that there are multiple POVs and it's not broken down into chapters. So it's not like one chapter is Shade's, the next is Grayson's. It's like they'll have multiple POVs in the same chapter, and it's very difficult for me to differentiate whose POV we're actually in because all of the characters are kind of flat and they're not very dynamic so far. So once I start reading, I have to see a name to know whose POV that we're in. I don't like, because I've read other books where they're switching POVs and it's like the second you start reading that sentence, you know whose POV it is because of the tone and the way it's written and all of that. So yeah, for me, those are the areas where it's falling flat. I do think it's a great premise. I'm just interested to see where it goes. I've also seen a lot of people say that there's a crazy plot twist at the end, but I'm not going to get my hopes up because I don't want to be severely underwhelmed, you know? So that's where we're at. I am going to continue my lunch break though, and then I'll probably film a little bit of me reading in my free time while at work. So that's it. So let's do it. I just finished up Daggermouth, and I have to say I'm kind of disappointed in this one because every review that I read, people absolutely loved it. For me, it's just a 3-star middle of the road book because of all the things that I think I mentioned the other day. It took me a lot longer to get through because, like I've said, all the characters just felt very one-dimensional. I got them confused when we were in different point of views. I didn't really care for much of the romance. There was one that I did like. It still wasn't the greatest. And at the end, there were some plot twists that, fair enough, I didn't see coming because, like, the whole point of this book is that obviously you have the rebels and then you have the heart, and you don't really know who's on what side, that's where the plot twists come into play and there's some big reveals, but it just still didn't feel like enough because most of the book was very, very flat for me. So yeah, unfortunately it wasn't my favorite, but it might be your thing if you like something where there's a lot of plotting, scheming, and at the very end is where the big plot twist comes into play. But for me personally, I'm not really necessarily going to recommend this book because I just think there are a lot better ones out there. I feel bad saying that, but that's just my truth, I guess you could say. So that is that one. And that is the end of this video for this week, you guys. I had fun. I know that these aren't your typical romances that you were probably picturing by the title of this video, but they were all 3 different romances. We read like a horror rom-com. We read... What else did I read? We read a sad YA romance, and then we read this one. Why do I keep forgetting it? Dystopian, which was a dystopian enemies to lovers romance. But yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books in this video, what your thoughts and opinions were on them. Give me any recommendations if you have them. And that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this week. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!